He could do everything. He's as good as it gets. He's as good as it gets. He's the most complete fighter on the roster because he submits people. Like he submitted Poirier in the final round.
Yeah.
Incredible submission. But he was winning that fight already. But then, he can also knock you out. He literally does everything. He's one of the best wrestlers in the sport. His top control and his squeeze is insane.
He'll get takedown attempts coming at him very early. The last fight, he didn't have to deal with that when he was fresh. If Islam can start to pressure him early and take him down early, or even just make him wrestle.
MMA pros are sending out warnings for Jack Della Maddalena ahead of his massive showdown with Islam Makhachev. Among them, Gilbert Burns weighed in with an interesting take. He actually supports the idea of Islam moving up to welterweight. Burns explained that the cut to 155 has always been brutal for Makhachev, and that 170 pounds might suit him much better. In Burns' eyes, Islam has already proven himself as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. And while many fans think this matchup could be one-sided, Burns disagrees. He believes Jack has been quietly preparing for this moment, training with elite figures like Alexander Volkanovski and grappling wizard Craig Jones, experiences that have sharpened his game in big ways. Although Burns admitted he hasn't broken down the fight in detail yet, he sees it as a much closer contest than people expect.
Islam is working very hard. He's been saying vocal that he wants to go up to 170. I think he's a big boy. He killed himself to make 55. I think that's the right division for Islam. He just tweeted something after the fight that he'll not vacate the title, and then he vacated the title. I don't know, but probably that was in the negotiation. Yeah, I like him moving up. I've proven himself. He's #1 pound for pound right now. It's a good fight. Jack and Islam closer than people think, especially with Jack Della Maddalena doing a lot of training with Volk, with Craig Jones, those guys that kind of back the Islam on that first Volk fight. I think they're going to have a lot of info, a lot of study, a lot of answers. It's closer than people think, this fight. I really like this fight. I don't have time right now. I didn't have time to dig deep a little too much on that fight, but I think it's way closer than people think, and JDM has a clear.
On the other hand, Israel Adesanya came out with full confidence in Jack Della Maddalena's chances against Islam Makhachev. Adesanya pointed to Jack's frame, natural strength, and relentless scrambles as major keys to victory. He explained that Jack's aggressive pressure and striking exchanges, combined with his constant activity, could force Islam into deep waters. For Adesanya, it's simple. If Islam's takedown attempts start failing, the tide turns fast. Jack's forward pressure and physical presence could wear Islam down and eventually break him.
I think Della is going to get it done. I feel from talking to Tim and also seeing Della, and also I've only sparred Della once, like not really hard crazy, but and I didn't try and take him down at all, but I've seen him at your gym sparring, and his scrambles are crazy.
Yeah, he's good.
Even watching him with Bilal as well, and Gilbert Burns, his scrambles are crazy, and I feel Islam would feel like he bit off more than he could chew once he gets in there with him, because when he puts some things on him, he's like, I'm standing with this guy, I have to take him down. And then he tries, gets him down, and he gets back up, or he couldn't get him down, because he's a big dude. People don't realize how big Della is as well. He's solid. So I really
dense, man, just dense.
Dense, yeah. Like when I felt, like I said, with sparring, and then it's just the weight behind it, and the way he throws it, the body banging, man.
Ian Gary admitted that predicting the outcome wasn't easy. He praised Islam Makhachev's complete skill set, but reminded everyone that moving up a weight class always brings uncertainty. Gary emphasized that Jack Della Maddalena is naturally bigger than Alexander Volkanovski, yet still possesses excellent takedown defense along with elite striking, tools that could create serious problems even though Islam enters the fight as the favorite.
Who do you think wins, Jack or Islam?
It's such a tough one to talk about. Islam is phenomenal. He's good everywhere. Size matters. When you're talking about an extra 15 pounds, when you look at the size of Volkanovski versus Jack Della Maddalena, there's a big size discrepancy. And Volk gave him a good fight. And then Dustin Poirier, it wasn't absolutely completely dominant by Islam. It was a tough fight. Size is going to play a huge part. Even on the ground, I feel like Jack could get it done with just some clean boxing and good takedown defense. But I can absolutely see Islam coming in and doing what Islam does and going out there and just looks like the phenomenal mixed martial arts.
Javier Mendez offered his perspective, admitting it was hard to say whether Jack Della Maddalena would be Islam Makhachev's toughest challenge yet. What he made clear, however, was that Islam wanted the fight and was fully prepared for it. Mendez praised Makhachev's all-around skill set and relentless training ethic, describing him as a completely different level of opponent than anyone Jack has faced so far. He added that moving to welterweight actually benefits Islam, since he will no longer be undersized and will instead enter the division as a powerful force.
You know, it's hard to say. It's hard to say if he's a harder challenge. You know, I just know Islam wants this one. So for me, that's the challenge I want, you know, and it's the challenge that I know Islam's going to be, you know, supreme over, because I just know his skill set. I know what he brings to the table, and he brings an incredible work ethic along with skill set in every area. So, you know, Islam is a whole different animal than Jack's ever been involved with. So if that fight does materialize, you know, we're going to see a hell of a fight, and you're going to see Islam perform at an absolute incredible level. And also, you know, the weight is not super big for him either. So he's going to be a fairly decent welterweight. So Islam won't be a small guy. He'll be a decent welterweight if that fight materializes.
Philip Rowe expressed full confidence in Jack Della Maddalena, saying he firmly believed Jack would defeat Islam Makhachev. Rowe argued that Islam doesn't have the physical frame to handle the larger welterweights, while Jack's punching power and ability to bounce back quickly from takedowns would be too much for him. He even predicted that Jack would finish Islam before the fight ever reached the judges' scorecard.
Philip Rowe, what's cracking, man?
Chillin'.
Hey, now listen, you're welterweight, you've been in the game a long time. Islam moving up to 170. Is he big enough for 170?
My personal opinion, I don't think he is, but he's a champ. We'll see when he's there. You know what I'm saying? He has a fight. He's fighting the champ. That's the best 170 in the world right now, right? So We'll see.
So you don't think he has the size, but how do you think he does in the fight versus JDM?
I personally think JDM beats him. I think JDM will be able to get up if he does take him down. I don't think he'll be able to take JDM shots. I think personally he'll stop.
Henry Cejudo predicted that Islam Makhachev would defeat Jack Della Maddalena and become a two-division UFC champion, calling it the natural next step in his career. In contrast, Kamaru Usman backed Jack, praising his composure and insisting he had the right tools to successfully defend his welterweight title. Both agreed the matchup is most likely set for October in Abu Dhabi, which also means talk of Islam facing Ilia Topuria has been put on hold for now.
I think Islam Makhachev is going to beat him. I think he's going to become the 11th double champ in UFC history.
Islam tweeted, "Keep it shiny, keep it nice for me." JDM, I mean, it was kind of like the perfect comeback. He was just like, yeah, come get it.
Keep my belt clean. Okay, so the talking has begun, dude. That fight is set. That fight's going to take place in October, Abu Dhabi. I think we all know that. We're no longer going to get Ilia versus Islam Makhachev just now.
Jack Hermanson, however, struck a more cautious tone. He emphasized that moving up in weight always brings uncertainty, pointing out that Islam has looked nearly unbeatable at lightweight and is arguably the pound-for-pound best right now. While Hermanson admitted Islam may not dominate quite as easily at welterweight, he still gives him a slight edge. At the same time, he credited Jack for his performance against Belal Muhammad, but noted he'd like to see Jack face more top-tier opposition before firmly placing him among the division's elite.
It's so hard because you never know when people are changing weight classes. But in lightweight, you know, Islam looks like unbeatable. It's just like maybe the pound for pound best. He's just so insanely good. But can he do it in a weight class above? I'm not sure. Really hard to predict a fight like that. I think I still have to say Islam.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. Yeah, we need to see a few more fights with Jack. It looked amazing against Bilal, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's something about Islam. Is just...
Stephen Thompson shared his perspective on the challenges Islam Makhachev could encounter at welterweight. He noted that many fighters in the division cut down from well over 205 pounds, making size and strength key factors. While Jack Della Maddalena might only have a slight edge in height, Thompson explained that the real test for Islam would be handling the overall physicality of the weight class. He acknowledged Islam's world-class grappling, but pointed out that Jack had already dealt with skilled wrestlers like Belal Muhammad. Thompson admitted the fight wouldn't be easy for Islam, but said he was intrigued by the matchup and hoped the UFC made it happen.
I don't know, man. I mean, when you're going up to the welterweight division, those are some big boys. And I know Islam Makhachev walks around fairly heavy, but a lot of these 170s, they walk around real heavy. I'm talking about, over 205, 210 to 215. Some of the guys that I faced would walk around at that weight. I think like the height, I think they might be the same height. I think JDM might be a little taller, but when it comes to those guys and their strength, Islam, I think, is going to have a tough time. Now, do I think he could get it done? Yes. I think he's that good of a grappler. But like I said, JDM has faced some of the best welterweight grapplers and wrestlers in the division. Islam, Bilal being one of them. I think it's going to be a tough night for him. I would like to see Islam fight Topuria. That's just me. I would love to see that fight happen. But if he comes up, we'll see what the UFC gets behind. And we all know you got to convince the UFC to make it happen. And you do that first by getting on Twitter, shouting it out, and get people talking about it. And that's what Islam did. So we'll see if that...
I think it's a super difficult fight for Islam, this one. He's like... obviously, he's faced Volk twice. We'll forget about the second one, but the first one, very competitive with the grappling. And now we're talking about he's facing a guy that's some of the best scrambling ability, I think, period, in all of MMA, and some of the most unorthodox grappling. And I think that's what Bilal struggled with. Bilal really just sticks to a blueprint. The blueprint obviously works. In terms of creativity and what Bilal does, I think it's pretty strict. Jack, as you saw in that fight, some of his off balances and grip breaks and some of the things he does, it's really hard to prepare for that. So I think like Islam, the size difference is going to be quite a lot bigger than people think. And we've seen how Volk did on the ground and how much Islam struggled with him in the grappling exchanges. And having seen Jack and Volks work together, seeing the skill sets, like this is a perfect one. The UFC want guys that stand and bang. I'm trying to still help them out, even though potentially enemies.
You feel confident about this one?
Very